What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here, keeping you up to date with the latest Destiny 2 news and information. And today we have an absolutely huge Destiny 2 video for you guys, and that's because the three Taken King subclasses, the Nightstalker Hunter, the Sunbreaker Titan, and the Stormcaller Warlock have only recently been confirmed to be hitting Destiny 2. Well, just now, their contents of their subclasses, their subclass perks, have been leaked. We actually know the two different attunements each of these three Taken King subclasses will get, so strap yourselves in, there's a lot of information, and let's get started. Now this is where the leak is coming from. It's a Destiny 2 guide that seems to have been released early, and you can see the actual Nightstalker Hunter pictured with the exact same art style as the other subclasses are pictured as well. Like when you look at the Striker Titan, for example, you see the same artistic style. And then it goes on to list the actual subclass nodes for the three Taken King subclasses. So let's begin here, since we're already talking about the Nightstalker, with the Nightstalker Hunter. All of the leaked pictures kind of look like this, but I'm going to write out each of the perks manually so that you guys can read them a lot easier. So, first off, we have the upper path, which is Way of the Trapper. The first perk is Snare Bomb. Throw a smoke bomb trap from a distance with this melee ability. The smoke bomb sticks to surfaces and detonates when enemies are near, slowing and disorienting them. Next up, we have the perk Keen Scout. Sprint and sneak faster, and gain an enhanced tracker. Tethered enemies are marked for easy tracking. Next up, we have the perk Deadfall. The Void Anchors, fired from Shadow Shot, become traps and wait for prey. Void Anchors have increased range and last longer. And lastly, we have Vanishing Step. Dodging makes you vanish from sight for a short time. So this first path, this first attunement, seems to focus, again like it says, on trapping. You have the snare bombs that will trigger automatically once enemies go by, and then you also have that same effect in a sense with your shadow shot. You can shoot them on the ground and then they will trigger if an enemy goes over top of them. So that is pretty interesting. But moving on, we have the next attunement, which is the Way of the Pathfinder. The first perk here is Vanish in Smoke. Throw a smoke bomb explosive from a distance with this melee ability. The smoke bomb creates a cloud that makes you and nearby allies invisible. That's returning from Destiny 1. The next perk is Lockdown. Grenades and smoke effects last twice as long, allowing for strong territorial control and increased damage potential. Next up, we have the perk Heart of the Pack. Killing tethered enemies creates orbs of light and increases mobility, recovery, and resilience for you and nearby allies. And lastly, we have Mobius Quiver. Fire Shadow Shot multiple times in rapid succession. Shadow Shot deals massive damage against tethered enemies. So wait, what is going on there? You can turn your Shadow Shot into essentially like a golden gun style attack. Fire it multiple times in rapid succession. This seems to be a lot more than Quiver simply granting 3 shots. This seems to be potentially making you fire it as much as you want and then just lowering the super every time you do. So you can potentially, if you're firing this really fast, get off like 5+ shots, which would be just insane. That has really changed the nature of the Nightstalker. That's really cool. And moving on from there, we have the Sunbreaker Titan, with the first attunement, the upper path, being called Code of the Fireforged. The first perk is Hammer Strike. While sprinting, use this melee ability to unleash a blazing hammer strike that weakens enemies. Essentially, they have taken the kneeing attack, it sounds like, from Destiny 1 and made it the default melee ability with this Code of the Fireforged for the Sunbreaker in Destiny 2. Moving on from there, we have the perk Tempered Metal. Solar ability kills grant you and nearby allies bonus movement speed and reload speed. After that, we have the perk Battle Forge. Enemies killed by Hammer of Soul explode. And then lastly, we have Falcon's Rage. Hammers shatter into explosive molten embers on impact. So, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Battle Forged, making enemies explode when you hit them, which was already in Destiny 1. That was really good for ad clearing. And then also, in the same attunement slot, you get Falcon's Rage, where the hammers shatter into explosive molten embers on impact, which I assume damage enemies nearby or perhaps create a damaging area of effect. That is just crazy. You are going to be so good at ad clearing with this subclass node. That is just crazy. But moving on from there, we have the lower path, which is Code of the Siegebreaker. Firstly, we have the perk Mortar Blast. Strike an enemy with this melee ability to release a solar explosion, setting nearby enemies on fire. Next up, we have the perk Sun Warrior. Solar ability kills restore your health. Grenade and melee ability kills leave a deadly sunspot in their wake. Next up, we have Rings of Fire. While standing in a sunspot, your solar abilities recharge faster and your super lasts longer. Lastly, we have Solar Siege. Hammers create a sunspot on impact. While standing in sunspots, you throw hammers faster. So they have taken the perk from Destiny 1 where you get an overshield out of the game. That was very, very powerful, but they've certainly given a lot of other benefits for generating sunspots and then standing within those sunspots. You can basically create a sunspot, stand in it, and just throw hammers longer and faster, become like a crazy piece of artillery in Destiny 2 with the Code of the Siegebreaker. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And moving on from there, guys, we have the Stormcaller Warlock. So, the first upper attunement is called Attunement of Eons. And the first perk is Chain Lightning. Deliver an electrocuting arc melee strike at extended range that chains from the struck enemy to another nearby enemy. Extended range, oh boy. So that's coming back from D1. We'll have to see how it is in Destiny 2. Moving on from there, however, we have the next perk, Transcendence. When cast with full grenade and melee energy, Storm Trance lasts longer and fully restores health. So there you go. If you're keeping your grenades and melees up, your Storm Trance is going to be a lot more powerful. Next up, we have the perk Arc Web. Enemies damaged by your grenades chain deadly lightning to nearby enemies. Wow, so your grenades are just automatically going to become better with Arc Web. And lastly, we have Ionic Blink. Press the sprint button to teleport during Storm Trance returning from Destiny 1. Now moving on from there, we have the lower path, which is Attunement of the Elements. The first perk is Gale Force. This electrocuting melee ability hits at extended range, again, oh boy, and recharges your super, grenade, and melee energy. Wow, that's a lot of recharging for one melee. Next up, we have the perk returning from D1, Landfall. On casting Storm Trance, fire a bolt of lightning into the ground, creating a devastating shockwave under you. Next up, we have the perk Rising Storm. Your Rift, being your class ability, charges faster when allies are near. And lastly, we have Arc Soul. Your Rift now grants you or any allies who use it an Arc Soul to aid in battle. Wait, what? Yes, that's what it says. It grants you an Arc Soul, S-O-U-L, to aid in battle. It seems like with this attunement, if you put down a Rift, you or any allies that go over it will get some sort of elemental, maybe an orb next to your shoulder that will electrocute enemies, presumably, that go near you. That's crazy. That is nothing like that in Destiny, so that's really exciting to see in Destiny 2. And so guys, there you have it. Now if you learned anything new in this video, which should be everyone who watches it pretty much, take a quick second to support it by liking and especially sharing. It really does help me out. And guys, if you want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, be sure to slap that subscribe button. And if you actually want to be notified of new uploads, make sure to press the bell beside subscribe. Now, if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.